It could be another big week for Devonta or AJ or both. Every week could be somebody different, but I am going to test the corners early. I'm going to test them often. And whoever Darius Williams or Tyson Campbell is matched up on, let's take them to the house. Back at it again. It's the Football Playbook. Your boy, RIC, and the place to be here at the Jersey Shore, broadcasting around the universe. Big shout out to all of our international and global listeners. I see you over there, out over the pond and up north in Canada. Our good friend Craig T, Paul Mancini, Gary A, Cal Adams, all you guys show enough. Show your boy some love. Hit the like button. Click subscribe to the JAKIB Sports YouTube channel so that way you know all your show notifications, especially this weekend with the Jaguars Eagles pre and post game at the Ocean Casino Resorts. You got the pregame, the postgame. They got the halftime hit. So if you subscribe to the channel, you get all the show alerts and notifications. We're waiting for our good friend Tony Baselli here to join us. Of course, a recent NFL Hall of Fame inductee and Pro Football Hall of Fame, I should say. And he went in with the Dick Vermeil class, so hopefully we'll pop him up here. I did not yet go through, Tone will keep us posted. I did not yet go through the Jaguars depth chart. That's something I try to get that earlier in the week. It's just been one of those can't stop, won't stop situations this week with lots of great guests. And of course, you could always go back and watch the archives. They have a Football Playbook playlist. In fact, they have a playlist for all the shows in case you miss any of them. Austin Lane, by the way, the former Jaguars, he gave us his Duval chant. He's been posting some great videos. I didn't realize how deep and intense Austin Lane got with the video breakdowns. Had I known, we could have really gone inside the Football Playbook with Austin Lane, but he's been posting some great content there. We had Ashlyn Sullivan, and a big talk about it was these linebackers. And we even had our producer, Tone, we popped him on and got his take yesterday about this linebacker unit, man. Devin Lloyd, who was your AFC, he was either the AFC Rookie of the Week or the AFC Rookie of the Month. He is playing lights out, guys. Lights out. And, you know, I've talked about this on the show coming out. Devin Lloyd, Nakobe Dean, considered to be the top two inside linebacker prospects coming out of the draft, you know, before we kind of learned about Nakobe Dean's injury, you know, they were neck and neck in terms of who's the top Mike prospect. And, you know, Lloyd has got a couple inches on Dean. He's probably about 2 or 3 inches taller, and he is just flying to the football, sideline to sideline. He's playing with his hair on fire. Another 14 tackles last week. He's had double-digit tackles almost every game. So this rookie now has really made an impact on this defense. And Nakobe Dean, you know, I talked about Michael Clay's press conference before the commercial break. Nakobe Dean was a guy that was asked specifically about special teams, and he said, yeah, you know, Nakobe's playing special teams until he gets onto the field, and he's doing a damn good job with it. But it just goes to show you I always talk about it's a thin line of separation in the NFL. And you talk about from just a talent standpoint, Dean, Lloyd, right there, neck and neck. Sometimes it's about coaching. Other times it's about situations. The Jaguars don't have Kaiser White and TJ Edwards on that roster. So Devin Lloyd gets injected right away. He makes an immediate impact. Who's to say Nakobe Dean can't do the same thing? But TJ Edwards has earned that playing time. Kaiser White was signed to big money for a reason in the offseason. So Nakobe Dean gets the luxury of biding his time and waiting patiently. And that's the luxury the Eagles have. But, you know, talking about this Jaguars linebacker unit, Foy Alukan, who was really an under-the-radar free agent signing, they gave him a decent contract. So Olukukun in the middle with Devin Lloyd, Trayvon Walker, Josh Allen on the outside. You know, Trayvon Walker coming out of Georgia was a rotational guy, much like Jordan Davis. Some people, including myself, questioning Is he really the best player in the draft? Well, how were the Jaguars exactly going to employ and implement that skill set? They're doing a pretty damn good job of it. Walker is playing like a monster on the edge. And I'll tell you what, there's not too many 34 outside linebackers with the size, the speed, the athleticism, the strength, the instincts that Trayvon Walker has. This is a rare player. There's a reason why he went number 1 overall. Okay? There's a reason why he went number 1 overall. There's a reason why Devin Lloyd is a first-round pick. There's a reason why Josh Allen is a first-round pick. So, of their 4 starting linebackers, 3 of them are first-round picks. We talked about Cisco on the back end, who was, a top 50 selection coming out of Syracuse. I like this kid a lot. He's always had some injury issues that have kind of followed him around. But Andrew Wingard coming out of Wyoming, he's another hair on fire in the box safety on this roster. Just to remember, I remember Wingard down at the Senior Bowl making plays all over the place. They said, "Who's this kid out of Wyoming with the long locks?" That's Wingard. Wingard, he's good. He's got a knack for the turnover too. So I look at the safeties. Those kids can play. The linebackers, they can play. Now, where the Eagles should win is in the trenches and in the passing attack once again, because Darius Williams, Shaq Griffin on A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith, that's a clear mismatch advantage for the Eagles. I'm assuming Shaq Griffin will be on A.J. Brown for the majority. Darius Williams will probably draw Devonta Smith. And then you want to put Tyson Campbell, who I like coming out of Georgia. You want to put him on Quez Watkins. I think that's a mismatch because Campbell's a taller, lankier guy. He's more of a 4.52. I don't think he's got the speed to keep up with a Quez Watkins in the slot. So Jaguars have some decision-making to make in the secondary. I think the Eagles could look to win via the pass. We talked about 16 first downs through the pass, only 3 on the run. Maybe a little bit more of that this week. I would be picking on these corners. I don't think the cornerbacks down in and down out can keep up with the Eagles wide receivers. Now, up front, in the trenches, Fatakuse, solid player at one end. Roy Robertson Harris, an undrafted guy who's really carved himself out a role. I love the work ethic and the mentality, somewhat limited, but a hard-nosed player. Davon Hamilton at nose tackle. Wow. I didn't realize Hamilton was playing the nose. I love this kid coming out of Ohio State, another Ohio State kid who had like a heart murmur or a flutter, and another guy who just went down and wrecked Mobile. He just wrecked everybody in the one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl. I said, man, this kid can play for me any day of the week. And I think, he went much later in the draft because of the heart situation. I had a first-round grade on him. Give me 53 Davon Hamiltons. I don't care how undersized he is. I don't care about the heart murmur because his heart is going to outweigh his physical limitations. Davon Hamilton's a damn good player there in the middle. Wouldn't necessarily have him at nose tackle. I think he did a little bit of that at Ohio State, but he's barely 6 feet tall. I'm surprised he's the starting nose tackle there. I love the kid, though. This guy has got bend, he's got dip, he's got rip, he's got strength. He's low. You talk about low man wins. Davon Hamilton is the low man. So Hamilton on Kelsey, buckle up. That's a heavyweight battle. Hamilton on Kelsey, I like me some of that. That's going to be a one-on-one matchup that I will hone in on and enjoy watching. I'll get my popcorn ready for that matchup. So to me, these corners are going to need help from the safeties over the top. It'll be interesting to see who draws the Dallas Goedert assignment. I'm assuming Cisco will draw that assignment because he's probably 6'2", 200 pounds and can at least lock him up from a physicality standpoint. And he's pretty fast too. So to me, it could be another big week for Devonta or AJ or both. Every week could be somebody different, but I am going to test the corners early. I'm going to test them often. And whoever Darius Williams or Tyson Campbell is matched up on, let's take them to the house early and often. Shane Steichen's been doing that. So just a little bit more of that, please. All right. Offensive side of the ball. Okay. We talked about the first round picks in the linebacker corps. This is not the Detroit Lions offensive line. Okay. It is better than the Vikings offensive line, I would say. And I would probably give them an edge over the Washington offensive line that allowed 9 sacks a week ago. So Cam Robinson at left tackle, if you remember him coming out of Alabama, just a very polished, proven player. And if Cam Robinson was playing in a bigger media market, he would have a lot more notoriety and recognition. Playing in Jacksonville, he's kind of unheard of and flies under the radar. But Cam Robinson is probably a top 10 left tackle in the league. Very solid player. Goes about his business week in, week out. First round pick, top 10 pick, I believe. Jawan Taylor out of Florida, another first round pick from what I recall. And we pegged him as a right tackle, which is where he was playing, because he didn't quite have the footwork of a true left tackle, but he is very athletic for his size, 6'4.5", if I recall, maybe in that 320, 325 range. He's got good athleticism. So they have some bookend tackles. The Eagles defensive end rotation, Reddick on Robinson will be a good matchup. Brandon Graham on Jawan Taylor, we'll see. Could be the situations that make these matchups. Now, on the interior, Ben Bartch is a guy out of Wisconsin. We liked at the NFL Draft Bible, by the way, our 21st year of draft coverage over on SI.com. Check us out, NFLDraftBible.com. We got you covered. 400-plus scouting reports already for the 2023 NFL Draft. We'll double that number by April, I guarantee you that. But Ben Bartch was a guy we loved coming out of Wisconsin. Those Wisconsin Badgers, we talked about it with our guy Dane Vandernet. They just mold polished offensive linemen. They're well coached. They're cornfield strong coming out of Wisconsin. So Ben Bartch at one guard, and then Brandon Scherf, formerly of the Washington football team Commanders, he's at right guard. So pretty solid guards. And then Luke Fortner, was he a Cincinnati guy? Luke Fortner at center. I really haven't been able to keep tabs on his pro progress or career. So I'll have to ask maybe, if we get Tony Baselli or Coach John DeFilippo on Luke Fortner, who has a scouting report on Fortner. But, he's obviously meshing well with Trevor Lawrence, who was your AFC player of the week. We haven't talked about the skill position players that Jonathan Gannon specifically stated in his presser we have to allocate for the skill position guys, because Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and then Marvin Jones, all three of these guys can play X, Y, or Z. So you can kind of mix and match and move these guys around accordingly if you're the Jaguars. I think they're going to try, their best to find the mismatch, but I'm not sure there is one, because I'll tell you what, you want to slide Kirk inside to the slot, you want to slide Zay Jones into the slot, I'm cool with Avonte Maddox, brother. Avonte Maddox all day. Physical, one-on-one coverage. I think he can handle either one of those guys. Because remember, none of these receivers are taller than 6 feet, I believe. They're all 6 feet or smaller. So if they want to slide one of these guys in the slot on Avonte Maddox and try to pick on the third corner, hey, be my guest. All good. The one corner who may struggle is Bradbury, who's the taller guy. You know, I could see him on Zay Jones. If you get Kirk on Bradbury now, you might want to be concerned with that in terms of the deep downfield. Can Bradbury keep up with the Christian Kirk step for step on the deep ball? I don't know. We haven't seen Bradbury tested too much deep, have we? I know with the Giants, it was a little bit concerning when they took him downfield. Christian Kirk on Bradbury could be the alignment the Jaguars look to take advantage of. Evan Ingram has really been a non-factor from what I've seen and heard. You guys tell me if you've seen. Have you seen Evan Ingram out there? Because I can't seem to find him. You know, another guy coming out of Ole Miss, the Giants took him in the first round, I think, ran a 4.58 or a 4.62. Really had trouble holding on to the football when he was playing for the Jersey Giants. And I don't know what the situation is in Jacksonville. They needed a tight end. I think it was more of a roll of the dice with Evan Ingram there. But Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, I would imagine, will draw that assignment. And I don't really consider Evan Ingram a big factor in this Jacksonville Jaguars offense. Travis Etienne, on the other hand, that's the guy I'm watching. Much like a Curtis Samuel. We saw, you know, it was too little too late for the Commanders, but Curtis Samuel did give the Eagles some issues. They moved him around. They did some pre-snap motion. They lined him up in the slot. They used him as a pass catcher. They used him as a running back. Travis Etienne has a very similar skill set to that of a Curtis Samuel. So, again, the Eagles have seen some good 1-2 punches, whether it's Dalvin Cook and Alexander Madison. They saw Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift week 1. You know, Antonio Gibson and Curtis Samuel, not so much last week. But this James Robinson, Travis Etienne 1-2 combo, don't sleep on this. Just because they play in Jacksonville, they don't necessarily get the hype and the national media attention. James Robinson is doing this off of 8 or 9 months torn ACL, which is just incredible with James Robinson. But Robinson will be your in between the tackles bruiser. Travis Etienne will be your change of pace slasher. They will look to move him around. And listen, this Dougie P offense is very quarterback friendly. Trevor Lawrence will be running a lot of RPOs. He'll have a lot of freedom to kind of improvise and adjust and make those pre-snap calls. So, you know, we're going to see just which quarterback has truly developed and taken that step to be a franchise quarterback. Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts, both coming off of monumental weeks. And it's going to be a showdown. It's going to be a throwdown. And we talked about, I think it opened up. Philadelphia was initially minus 7.5. Then it was down to 7. Then it was 6.5. And then this morning, it is now down to 6. It is now down to 6. So a whole 1.5. People thinking the Jaguars are going to keep this a little bit closer than what folks may have initially thought. So we'll continue to get predictions with our next guest, Coach John DeFilippo. I guess Tony Baselli maybe got caught up with the hurricane. You know, I know it's not going to work from the car. I just got his email, so he just let us know. We'll try to pop on Tony Baselli, even though it won't be Jaguars week. we'll try to get Tony Baselli on at a later date because he is Hall of Fame royalty. So I don't have Tony Baselli for you. We do have Coach John DeFilippo coming up at 11 a.m. for the second hour of Power. I'll have my NFL pick'ems after Coach Flip. And so we'll pop on the man behind the scenes, pop him on, Tone DeShields, the super producer, get a prediction and a point total for this Jaguars-Eagles match. I'm a little bit disappointed we didn't have Tony Baselli, Tone, but I get it. You know, there's a lot of things going down on in Florida. We talked about the hurricane impacting the Jaguars. They gave, I think Baselli's doing the broadcast, so they have off Thursday and Friday. We'll try to pop them on later on in the show. But it's Dougie P week, man. We've had some great Jaguars guests throughout the week. The line is shifting towards the money's coming in on the Jaguars. You know, I don't think we got the official score prediction from you. Give us a little synopsis of what you're anticipating with this Jaguars-Eagles matchup.
Well, first things first, man. Great show so far. This is a really fascinating game because I think this is probably going to be the best defense they face. It is the best defense they might face so far. I'm trying to remember the score prediction I gave this morning, but I had it being close. I think I said the score would be 24-17 or 23-17, something like that. I can't quite remember, but I think that was my score prediction around that time. But it's going to be a tough game, and you know, I fully expect, you know, this Jaguars defense to play fast, play hard, you know, be aggressive, and it's going to be imperative for Nick Sirianni and Shane Steichen to take advantage of that aggression. So if you want to curb that pass rush, maybe get those guys running from sideline to sideline, you know, tire them out a little bit. Try not to be so predictable. Get the running game started first and foremost. You know, I was talking to Jeff Kerr this morning on Good Morning NFC East, and he was saying that this may be a potential for a big Dallas Goedert game because, you know, if you get those running backs involved and, you know, if the weather, you know, gets a little dastardly, you might see the Eagles really exercise that short and intermediate game, you know, work the short and intermediate game and, you know, and get those running backs and tight ends really working in the passing game. Not to say that A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith won't do their thing. I'm pretty sure they're going to feast on their opposition, but I might have to agree with them. I think this may be a big Dallas Goedert game.
Well, yeah, you've had AJ explode for a big game. You had Devonta explode for a big game. So eventually defenses are going to adjust and account for that. And it's only a matter of time until Goedert has his game, right? Let me ask you this, though, because we saw Boston Scott pop up on the injury report. I know Miles Sanders practiced yesterday, but he's got a little bit of an injury. Could this be the game Kenneth Gainwell maybe gets a little bit more work?
That's a good question. You know, Kenny Gainwell and Travis Etienne, they kind of have similar skill sets in terms of being those pass catching scat backs. Not really the strongest running backs, right? Or not really, don't really have the bigger bodies, but really good in the passing game. And you may be onto something. You may see a guy like Kenny Gainwell being used in different ways. I love when the Eagles, you know, go empty. They spread things out. You know, get the running back on the line of scrimmage sometimes, or may just have four wideouts out there in the tight end. You know, it all remains to be seen. But you know, what's so fascinating about this Eagles offense to me is we have yet to see their best ball. We have yet to see these guys truly max out. You know, we've seen that game from A.J. Brown. We've seen the game from Devonta Smith. You know, we've seen Quez get his deep shot in the Vikings game. But I'll be honest, we haven't really seen that big Miles Sanders game, that big Kenny Gainwell game. We haven't that big Dallas Goedert game. You know, Dallas has been, you know, picking his spots, and he's been productive every time he's touched the rock. But, you know, again,
it's coming, though. It's coming.
Exactly, it's coming. This team is so potent. We have so many players that you have to account for. I just don't know if the Jaguars can account for every facet of this Eagles offense. And on top of that, not to mention Jalen Hurts, he's a mover and shaker. You know what I mean? So this Jaguars team has to be prepared for any and everything. If you try to play man, well, don't turn your back on Jalen Hurts. He will take off. You know what I mean? If you play zone, he can pass the ball now. So this is going to be really interesting. And another thing, really quickly before I let you go, Trevor Lawrence, he can move in that pocket, but he's not mobile as far as, escaping from the pocket for the most part. He's only ran the ball 8 times for 22 yards. His longest run was 8 yards. So you don't have to worry too much about him really escaping from the pocket. He's going to want to live there. So, we'll see. We'll see how that pans out.
He can move the chains if needed, but he's not
if needed, right? But that's not what he wants to do. You know what I mean? That's not what he wants to do. So if they can find a way to get hands and feet on him early, speed up that clock just a little bit, then hey, the Eagles may be on to something.
I wouldn't be surprised if they even shadow Hurts with the Trayvon Walker. That could be an interesting scenario. I know we have Coach Flip coming up here after the commercial break, but did you see the Tua situation last night? Just an ugly scene.
Yeah, I watched that game from beginning, and you hate to see that. You hate to see a guy go out like that. But at the same time, I'll be honest. When he got hurt in the Buffalo game, I said there's no reason why he should be playing. He should be forced out there to play Thursday. I really had a strong feeling. Okay, he still there's no way he's going to pass concussion protocol from Sunday to Thursday, and then you see on the injury report that it was a back injury. Listen, with all due respect,
something's not adding up.
That's bull crap. I've never seen someone. First of all, if it's a back injury, I've never seen someone get up. Normally, they stay down if it's a back injury. I'm not a doctor, but that clearly was cognitive, if you ask me. He started. You would have thought he was in a boxing match the way he tried to get up and the way he buckled. Rick, somebody lying. Somebody lying, and I'll leave it at that.
Somebody's going to get caught with some yolk on their face for sure. That was not a back injury. We'll catch the take from Coach John D. Filippo after the break. Tone, we appreciate the time. You're dialed into the Football Playbook. It's all brought to you by Ocean Casino Resorts. Make sure you lock it in for the pre- and post-game this weekend. Make sure you hit the like button, hit subscribe, and we'll chop it up and break it down with Coach Flip. Talk to him about the return of Dougie P to Philly right after this.